Everybody, it's me, Faye, and I just had a couple little quick questions. As you know, they recently deported about over 200 supposed Venezuelan gang members, and they were actually Venezuelans, but they sent them to El Salvador to what has been labeled as one of the most brutal prisons in the world, not just in El Salvador, in South America, but in the world. And there were a couple of things that came up that I had questions about because, as most of you know, I deal in human and civil rights. So my questions are usually a little bit different than a lot of people. First of all, I have some concerns about the fact that these people were actually sent to El Salvador instead of back to Venezuela or to another country. And many of you remember that Rwanda was criticized because they had made an agreement with some European nations to take African migrants who had illegally entered European countries uh, and bring them to Rwanda and allow them to be there for a fee. Now, what we're beginning to hear is that this wasn't just a simple thing of them sending, like, I think it's 200, let's just use the number 250, 250 gang members to El Salvador. It's now been alleged that El Salvador paid a couple of $1 million for those prisoners. Now, I'm not really that good on, diplomatic stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it seems to me that if you exchange money for people and those people are involuntarily being transferred, you're actually selling them. And the most troubling part of this is that the United States cannot say what crimes these people committed or if they were actually members of the specific gang that they were accused of being with. Now, if you remember, at first they were going to go to Guantanamo Bay. Now, Guantanamo Bay, even though it's near Cuba, I think it's actually in Cuba, is a U.S., I guess you would say, prison. And is subject to U.S. rules, laws, regulations, whatever you want to call it. But when you sell them to the El Salvadorians, they're at the mercy of the El Salvadorians. They say one of the guys was a gay, a homosexual soccer coach or something, and then somebody else was something, but they weren't gang members. And as of yet, the State Department has nothing to prove that they were gang members other than they thought it, okay? A couple of weeks ago, I thought I might win the lottery. We all know how that ended up. So I think that they will probably try to do it again and send some more people to El Salvador. But as I've said in other videos, I am extremely disappointed that the legacy civil rights groups are not standing up and saying this is wrong. I'm upset that there's not been more, shall we say, concern about people being physically removed from public streets by people in plain clothes wearing masks. Now, most of you guys know I have some experience with, law enforcement, and I know that all law enforcement wears something to identify them. ICE usually has on what's called a raid jacket, which is that little nylon jacket. And it's real important that they have it on because you really don't know who is who. It might be somebody, impersonating ICE that kidnaps somebody off the street for very bad reasons. But in any event, I think we need to get to the bottom of whether or not these people were actually, these El Salvadorians were actually, whether they were sent to Venezuela, I mean to the Venezuelans, whether they were sent to El Salvador, or if they were sold or bought by the El Salvadorians, because I never heard of people buying people they gonna put, paying for people they gonna put in a jail unless they planning on using them for slave labor. But in any event, that's my opinion, and you guys can write your comments below. Uh, but don't come at me with foolishness, because I am not Michelle Obama. I don't go high when people go low. I meet them exactly where they are. So anyway, y'all get to working on what we need to do to make this country back to where it was supposed to be, or whatever it's supposed to be.